Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a topic that sounds kind of complex, but is actually at the very heart of how a business stays in business. We're talking about corporate liquidity. Now, don't worry, it's not as intimidating as it sounds. In fact, the basic idea is something you probably already do with your own money every single day. We're going to break down what it is, why it matters so much, and how companies manage it to stay afloat. So let's just start with a quick question. Imagine you're running a business. All of a sudden, a critical piece of equipment just breaks. The repair is expensive, or maybe your biggest client pays their bill a month late. Do you have the cash on hand to handle that? Could your business actually take that hit and keep the doors open? And that right there, that question, is exactly what this is all about. When you get right down to it, corporate liquidity isn't about scary, complicated formulas. It's simply about managing a company's cash so you're ready for anything, the bills you expect and the surprises you don't. So here's how we're going to break it all down today. We'll start by thinking of liquidity as a company's bank account. Then we'll get into the three main goals you're trying to hit. After that, we'll look at the flow of cash in and out. Then we'll cover some smart strategies companies use. And finally, we'll wrap up with the key takeaways you'll want to remember. All right, let's dive into our first section. The absolute best way to get a handle on corporate liquidity is to think of it just like a company's main checking account. It's that central pool of money it uses to run its day-to-day operations. Okay, so here's the formal textbook definition, but let's not get tripped up by the jargon. Let's just pick it apart. Proactive management simply means you're planning ahead. You're not waiting for a problem to pop up, you're getting ready for it. Liquid assets. Think of this as cash, or anything you can turn into cash super fast, like tomorrow, without losing money on it. And short-term financial obligations, those are just the bills that are due soon, things like payroll, rent, and paying your suppliers. So all it really means is planning ahead so you always have enough easy-to-grab cash to pay your bills on time, simple as that. Now that we have a grasp on what liquidity is, let's see how it relates to this constant balancing act. See, managing your cash isn't just about having a big pile of it. It's about juggling three main goals. And sometimes these goals can pull you in opposite directions. These are the rules of the game. So you've got these three things to think about: solvency, profitability, and security. First up, solvency. This is the bedrock. It just means you can pay your immediate bills. If you can't pay your people or your suppliers, your business isn't going to last long. It's not negotiable. But then there's the second goal: profitability. And this is where it gets tricky. Cash is great, but too much cash just sitting in a bank account doing nothing is, well, it's kind of lazy. That money could be invested in growing the business or earning interest. So hoarding cash actually hurts you. Which brings us to goal number 3, security. This keeps your profitability goal in check. The cash you need for your bills for solvency has to be safe. You can't gamble next month's payroll on a risky stock. If the market tanks, you're toast. So security means your ready cash is kept somewhere safe and stable. And this quote right here, it just nails the whole challenge. The liquidity cushion is just that safe pile of cash you have on hand. Optimizing it means making sure it's big enough to cover your bills, but not so big that it becomes excessive capital, that lazy money we talked about. You want just enough to feel secure, but not so much that you're missing out on chances to grow. It really is like walking a financial tightrope. This leads us directly to our next key idea, which is cash flow. If liquidity is the cash you have available, cash flow is the actual movement of that money, both in and out of the company. You can really think of it as the financial heartbeat of the business. Every single business has cash moving in two directions. Let's go back to that coffee shop idea. You've got cash inflows. That's money coming in. It's every cup of coffee sold, every pastry. It could also be a loan they get for a new machine. Then you've got cash outflows. That's money going out. That's paying for the coffee beans, the milk, the rent, and of course, the barista's paycheck. The whole game of liquidity management is making sure that the money coming in is timed right to cover the money that has to go out. Now, this brings up a concept that sounds a bit technical, but I promise it's pretty simple. It's called the cash conversion cycle. Let's use a bakery as an example. On day 1, the bakery spends $100 on flour. That's cash out. A few days later, they sell the bread they made to a local restaurant. But the restaurant has 30 days to pay. So even though the bread is sold, the cash isn't back yet. Finally, 32 days later, the restaurant pays up. Cash is back in. That 32-day gap is the cash conversion cycle. It's how long the bakery's own money was tied up. And the goal for pretty much any business is to make that cycle as short as possible. The faster you get your cash back, the better off you are. Okay, so we know what liquidity is, we get the 3 goals, and we understand this whole cash flow thing. So now for the really practical stuff. How do companies actually manage all of this? Let's check out a few simple but really powerful strategies they use to stay on solid ground. Here are 4 really common sense strategies. First, build an emergency fund. It's exactly what it sounds like. Smart businesses will regularly tuck away a piece of their profits just for those rainy days, like when equipment breaks. Second, get paid faster. This is all about shortening that cash cycle we just talked about. A company might offer customers a small discount if they pay in 10 days instead of 30. That little incentive can bring cash in the door much quicker. Third, pay a little slower. Now, this is a delicate one. It's not about paying bills late. It's about professionally negotiating with suppliers for better payment terms. If you can get 60 days to pay instead of 30, you get to hold on to your cash for an extra month. And fourth, forecast the future. This is what being proactive is all about. Businesses create detailed budgets to predict how much cash they expect to come in and go out. It helps them spot a potential cash crunch months in advance so it never becomes a crisis. We've definitely covered a lot of ground, so let's just take a moment to boil it all down into the most important points. If you remember anything from today, this is the stuff to focus on. So let's review. First, at its core, liquidity is just about a company's ability to pay its bills on time. That's it. Second, doing this means constantly balancing 3 competing goals: paying your bills, making a profit, and keeping your cash safe. Third, you manage this balance by keeping a close eye on the money coming in and the money going out. And finally, you don't need some secret formula to get it right. Simple, smart strategies can make a huge difference in a company's financial health. And that brings us right back to where we started, with you. We've seen how these big corporate ideas are really just a reflection of things we all do with our own money. So we'd love to hear from you. What's one liquidity strategy that you use in your own life? Maybe you automatically transfer money to savings with every paycheck, or you use an app to track your spending. Go ahead and share your approach in the comments below. It's always great to see how these principles play out in the real world. And of course, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask them there too. We'll do our best to get back to you. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer. If you found it helpful, we'd really appreciate a like, and be sure to subscribe for more explainers just like this one. We'll see you next time.